guy stated it was his phone and everything. He literally said it was a 256 and everything. I come in person and it's literally a 64 gigabyte.
Oh, what'd you do
Like,
then?
what a waste of time. I swear now I'm starting, like, honestly, on certain cases, like, depending on the type of phone, I'm asking for the IMEI. I feel like in my state, it's just people honestly just bluffing all the time with their phone.
Sometimes people bluff. Sometimes people just make a mistake. I mean, it can happen, you know.
And like I picked up a 7 the other day as well. The same thing. The guy was like, "Oh, it's a 250." Well, first he said it's a 234 or something, some weird number. I'm like,
Probably just didn't
"Are
even
you
know what he was
sure?"
talking about.
Like, "Are you sure?" You know, talking about 256. Oh yeah, that's exactly what they said, 256. So I come in person, it's a 128 gigabyte. I mean, it was easier to downplay like the price or whatever, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not thinking like, word, I'm about to score this crazy deal, and it's like, oh,
Right.
cool. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
mean,
still keep the
sometimes when you, sometimes when you meet up with somebody and the information is inaccurate, sometimes that's just when you got to lowball them, you know?
yeah. Oh no, believe me, I did it. Like, I was gonna end up paying like, I think I was gonna give this guy like almost $20 or probably like 150, because he
Oh,
said it
yeah.
was like eight. He said it was 8 plus 256 gigabyte, and then iPhone 7 clean. He said they were both clean. I'm like, hey, can you see the screen? He's like, oh, they're good. They turn on. I come, they're like literally destroyed. Like, I'm like, I gave him $20.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was just like, I'm like, honestly, like,
How much you going to make
that,
on that?
I don't even know, to be honest. I never really bought a phone that's just so completely gone. Like, I don't think they power on at all.
Oh, yeah.
So what I was gonna do is just bundle them and sell them as just parts or something.
Sometimes that's what you got to do. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes people look at the phone and just think that it's not worth anything, but if you have a couple of them together that are worth parts,
Yeah, that's
then
what I
pay
was looking
more
at,
money
to
for
be
them.
honest. Because you know what I noticed too? iPhone 8, I think it was the iPhone 8 Plus, 64 gigabyte unlocked. Just the motherboard sold for $300 like 2-3 days ago. The motherboard, literally just the motherboard. I'm like, is
Oh,
this really
yeah. Well, there you
possible?
go. I mean, you'll definitely make money then.
I mean, it's just going through the trouble of making sure it doesn't get damaged in the process of taking it apart. But I mean, it's
For
more
sure.
work. I mean, I'm kind of interested in that too as well, because I'm like, dang, if people have like really damaged phones, they probably think it's worth like nothing. And it's like,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody saw my video. I'm sure a couple people
Oh,
saw.
I definitely did.
But yeah,
I was just like,
still
God, geez.
still waiting on updates for USPS. I mean, they literally lost an $18,000 package.
Dude,
No
that's just
updates on track.
insane.
That's crazy.
I just know that for a fact you definitely insured that. So I mean, I'm sure you're good, but it sucks to
I've
go through
never
that.
had to file a claim with USPS before.
Right.
I've never had them actually lose a package, but this is why I preach to people. You know, it can happen.
Sure.
You know, and even if I insured every single package that I sent out, it still probably wouldn't equal up to $18,000. I always insure packages like if they're over $1,000 or $2,000, I always throw insurance on them just because you never know when they can get lost. I mean, it can happen, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely crazy to think that. I mean, they lost an $18,000 package of mine. So
Right.
welcome, Bobby. So
I
it's
mean, it
crazy.
just sucks for your buyer too, because then you have to explain to them all this. Like, they're like, "Oh, I don't even know if I want to deal with this guy because he's like, he can't even be professional," and they think it's you, and it's really the UPS.
Yeah, well, luckily the tracking shows that they lost it. I mean, it shows
Okay.
it's never even delivered or anything, so I'm pretty sure they know that it's got nothing to do with me. I mean, I send my packages out pretty much from the same, USPS hub every single time. I always go to this grocery store that has a USPS outlet in there,
Yeah.
and anytime I have an expensive package, there, so pretty much doing the same thing. Welcome, Joe. So. But that being said, let's kind of get going on the group chat. There's a lot of changes going on in the phone flipping industry for everybody, who's watched some of my daily videos. There's some big changes going on. I mean, prices right now are kind of all over the place, especially for iPhones. New iPhones coming out in November, so just kind of keep that on the up and up, everybody. Got to be careful with what you're buying. Got to, price accordingly. I mean, there's people out there, your repeat buyers or your repeat sellers, I should say, are going to try and hustle you. They'll tell you that you're not paying enough. They'll say, hey, you're ripping me off. Why are you $100 lower than you were last week? Well, prices have dropped. So it's kind of something to, keep in mind. But that being said, what's everybody dealing with this week? I just kind of want to unmute everybody. We'll kind of keep this chat open tonight. Anybody dealing with any kind of, specific issues, or if you guys want to drop it in the chat and just kind of throw it out there, like, hey, what's going on? What are you guys dealing with for competition, or what kind of issues are you having? And we'll talk about it today. So
iCloud. I would just like a little bit more education on iCloud. Like, I've watched everything you said about it. It's just, I really want to know, like, because I had one person who said pretty much for their iCloud reason, someone sold them, like burned them with a phone. But then I'm like, how do I know if they're telling the truth or not? Like, you know what I mean?
So, okay, so you're asking, like,
well, not just that. One second. I don't want to cut you off, but, and then let's say I do buy it from them, which I didn't. How do I go about that on eBay? Like, I've seen other people sell them, but didn't you say something about you're risking your account with those?
That's true. Me personally, I would not sell any iCloud locked phones on eBay.
Okay.
Do that, you do risk your account getting banned. You might get a restriction at first, or you might get a warning, but sometimes they'll just flat out ban you right away. And if you permanently get banned out of that category, you won't be able to sell any smartphones or electronics on your eBay account.
Damn.
So
yes, that's I don't even know if
it's a big deal. So if you get iClouds, I recommend selling them to a direct buyer. Now, to answer the second part of your question, you were asking, how do you know if it's a legitimate story? So here's a legitimate story. First off, you got to read people. Everybody's got a story. The question is, whose story is legitimate? Whose story, is just telling you a bunch of BS. And, if you're buying an iCloud locked phone from, like a family guy or a family mom or whatever, and, they're like, hey, I tried buying this phone for myself, or I tried buying the phone for my son, and it's got an iCloud lock on it. Well, chances are it's probably, it's probably legitimate. There is a lot of cases out there where people who are common consumers, people who are our customers, people who sell phone to us, they get ripped off by people out there who sell them an iCloud locked phone or a phone that's blacklisted or financed, and they don't even know because they don't know how to check it, or anything like that. They just meet up with the person in a parking lot during the day or something. The interaction goes good, the person gets the cash, and then the innocent person that's going to be selling you the iCloud locked phone, they got blocked on Facebook, immediately after the other person got cash. So stories like that happen. In instances where you should stay clear of iCloud lock, people who say, oh, I found it at school, or, oh, I found it in a parking lot, or, I know who it belongs to, but I just grabbed it anyways, or I found it at a party. Chances are a lot of those stories where people say, oh, I just found it, could be stolen. But at the same time, sometimes they're not. Crazy things happen. Something happened to me. This is like 4 years ago, but I was basically, what was I doing? I was shoveling snow, and I found an iPhone 6S in the snow. And it ended up not being iCloud locked, but I found it. It had a Touch ID lock on it. Not a Touch ID, but it just had a password lock, screen lock on it. Went inside, reset it, phone worked perfect, and I sold it for like $250. But I literally found the phone. I mean, it wasn't stolen or anything. Obviously, whoever lost that phone in the snow, they didn't have an iCloud lock on it. They didn't report it blacklisted. They knew that they threw it out of the snow. And what it looked like to me is, me personally, I think what happened is two people got into an argument, and boyfriend threw girlfriend's phone, or girlfriend threw boyfriend's phone. I don't know whose phone it was. But, the phone was right outside like a second-story window, just in a huge snowbank. And I found it when I was shoveling during springtime. I found it. I was helping my uncle shovel some of his apartments, just helping him out or whatever, because he had done me a favor for the week prior. And, found the phone outside a 2-story apartment complex window in snow that was like almost melted to the ground. And it's like, must have got thrown out early winter. They couldn't find it, or they were drunk and fell asleep and forgot about it the next day. But yeah, the phone was clean, clear, good to go. And it was legitimately found. At that point, it's like, wasn't really an owner to it. Obviously, I don't encourage you to go around looking for phones or whatever, or trying to find them, but it was just one of those freak things where I didn't, take it from the person, didn't beat the person up, didn't jack it off of somebody at my college dorm or my high school locker, or, whatever, high school locker room. So it's kind of hard to tell. You just kind of, when it comes to iCloud lock stuff, be very cautious. Obviously, try and get a bill of sale, and then just watch out for legitimacy when it comes
That's
to
always.
story.
I won't get a phone without that, to be honest.
For sure.
But I do have a big question, but we'll wait till everyone else gets their questions answered because it's kind of a little bit more technical type of thing.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks. We're going to move on to the next person. Will, how are you doing tonight? I don't know if you got a microphone.
Yeah, I do. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. I was just following up with you. Last week we had talked about some advertising strategies for you and everything. How is everything going for you? And you got anything new for us?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I've been trying those ads where you list something, just a fake item, and then description you put that you're buying.
Sure.
It's worked pretty well for me. I got a couple of phones yesterday from that.
Awesome.
And I think I got my first repeat seller today, which I'm pretty happy about.
That's good. Well, I'm glad it's working for you. Any kind of questions or, difficult stuff coming up for you or anything you want to talk about or problem solve on here tonight?
Not really, no.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, cool. We will keep moving along then. Joe Doyle, are you with us tonight? I unmuted you. I'm not sure if you got a microphone or not or what you got going on, but if you are, we are here to answer and solve problems tonight. That's what these group chats are about, guys. Solving problems, masterminding together, coming up with solutions for stuff, and making sure everybody is winning in the group. So if you're there, Joe, talk. I tried unmuting you. I'm not sure if you got a microphone or not, or if you're there. But if you are, type in the chat, or if you don't have a mic, let us know. Are you there, Joe?
Hey, Luke, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Hey, bro. Hey, I really ain't got nothing right now, man. I'm actually just kind of listening in while I'm kind of getting my kids ready for bed. So really ain't got much. Just kind of listening in, just try to take some stuff in. That's about it, bud.
For sure. No, I mean, hey, I respect the multitask, so. Cool.
Man.
All right. Well, thanks, Joe.
Right. No problem, bud. Talk to you later.
All right. John Graves. John Graves actually just disconnected. I don't know who that was or if that was a duplicate. But anyways, Jay, I'm going to start calling you Jay, like you said. We'll go back to what kind of question do you got?
That's I inboxed you earlier. It's from Jay Guap. I know it's
sure.
It's scrambled because my things is Jonathan. But
Sure.
Okay, so this is honestly like of some interest because the other day, right, I was in the casino. I know. So I was in the casino, right?
Yep.
And I found a phone. So then I found one of probably like a manager or something like that. I'm like, hey, I found this device. It was just left on the seat.
Sure.
So I turned it in, and they were like, oh, another one of these. We get like 400 of these like every month, and we just toss them out after 30 days. I'm like, oh, I buy and resell phones. Oh, he says, really? Take this number and call the lost and found and see what's up.
Interesting.
So that I'm kind of interested in that because I'm like, well, they're throwing them away. So it's like, is there anything out of that? Because I seen someone write in, I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely in the Facebook. They were like, they worked a deal with the bus terminal because the bus was like the bus people, they find phones all the time.
Sure.
And I guess he bought a whole bunch of phones and he found one good phone out of all of them that were iCloud locked.
Sure. Interesting.
So I'm like wondering like if you have any experience with that.
So what you could try and do is you could try and propose a contract with the casino that they run by all of their phones with you. Pardon me, I was yawning. You could try running by a contract with the casino, asking the casino to sell you all of their phones that they're going to throw away. And what you'd want to do is you'd want to write up a professional proposal. One of the big things that you'd want to highlight in the proposal or the contract would be that you will delete all and any personal data and that, no data will be used, for malintent, etc., if any of them were to be recovered, and that you delete everything before reselling or using the phone for parts. And what I would do is I would offer them a case-by-case price basis and, just basically offer them as you go. Welcome, Josh. Welcome, Corey. I wouldn't offer them a whole lot of money just because of the fact that they already came out like basically by asking them what was going on, but they basically literally just told me exactly without bluffing. They said they are throwing them away, giving them away for free.
Right.
So if they're doing that, it's very possible that, you know, you could pick them up for, you know, $10, $20 a piece, even if they're worth $100. So I would keep digging into that. The only difficult thing is sometimes places like that, they don't want to sign a contract or a proposal or anything like that. But I mean, if they give you a number and you do a deal with them, it's very possible you could just call back, you know, every few weeks, just ask them what they got, come up there and buy them. Or what you could do is if you can get them to sign that proposal, what I would do then is I would go to Walmart, I would get a tote, and I would just tell them instead of throwing the phones away, drop the tote off along with the proposal sign and tell them all phones that you guys get, throw them into this box and give me a call after 30 days. After 30 days, whatever phones have went in there, I will come and pick them up, you know, something like that. So,
okay.
It's just
honestly, like, that's what I was honestly trying to see how can I go about that? Because I'm like, my regular bill of sales is not going to be able to like fit all those IMEIs. Like,
right.
Like, how would I
well, and if it's from a business, you know, the nice thing is if it's from a business, you are on camera. And then two, even if you're getting a bill of sale and you're not filling in all the IMEIs, like me personally, I don't think you were in the course at the time, but I did a large deal with a pawn shop. And I bought over 100 devices from a pawn shop. I mean, this is multiple $thousands deal. And they would not fill – the manager at the store, he signed the bill of sale, but he wouldn't provide his ID or anything like that. And it's like, I don't know if it's for liability purposes or what the deal was, but the point is that they wouldn't do it. I don't know why. I have no idea why, which is kind of funny because a pawn shop does the exact same thing. So not really sure why on that, but that's how it worked out. And I was fine with it because I'm like, well, not only do I have a printed receipt that I purchased these from Pawn America, but I do have the guy's signature and it is all on camera and it's all over YouTube and Facebook too. Like, for some,
if I can add in what I usually do for deals over 10 devices, is I'll just make up an Excel manifest sheet and just kind of go that route, you know, just make a spreadsheet with like device name, grade, A, B, C, D, IMEI, and then at the end just print it out, have them sign it. If you want to write down their license number, I don't even bother with large deals, sometimes getting a license. But that's an idea you can do too, because my bill of sale only does one at a time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's honestly what I was thinking. Cause I was like, a majority of those things are probably going to be iCloud locked, so you can't really do much with that if I'm not going to like resell.
The thing about some of those deals is if you're buying from a business, they're going to be locked, but like it's not like the guy stole 50 phones, you know. Like I buy off of the local nightclub that I do deals with. I buy probably about 15, 20 phones every couple months. They come in, they're like, hey, we got 20 iPhones. I know they're all marked stolen because, you know, they lost them in a club. But, you know, I know the guy who owns the club didn't steal them, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, when they're coming from a business, it's a little bit different, Jay. But if you're buying from an individual and somebody brings you like 3 or 4 iCloud locked phones, now I would be very careful of that. But when you're buying from a business, it's a little bit different. Everything's kind of recorded. And see, a business has no reason to lie too. Like if you bought, say, 15 blacklisted phones from a pawn shop and they're like, oh, where'd you get these from? You give them the pawn shop's number. They call them, yeah, we sold those phones. We had the legal right to sell them. They've been here for 45 days or whatever the time frame is where you live. So it's kind of something to keep in mind. So is that kind of it for your questions that you wanted tonight?
Yeah, honestly, because I'm thinking about doing something like that, to be honest, because if they pretty much flat out told me that. So I was like, well,
for sure,
let me run that by the group.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah, no, sounds good, Jay. Yeah. Let us know in the group how that goes for you about hitting up casinos. For anybody newer here, Jay's got some leads on casinos, getting phones, a lot of lots turned in.
It's pretty crazy. I'm like,
yeah,
go check them out.
I would give it a go. Let us know how it goes. Corey and Josh just joined. Corey and Josh, do you guys have any questions? Corey, I'll start with you. You got any questions or how are things going for you this week? Corey, I think you're the one, you said you're in the military, you're kind of having limited time to do this, but you're still giving it a go. How's stuff been going for you?
Yeah, it's been going all right, man. This last week I got looks like an Apple Watch 3, and then I picked up my first iPhone XS Max. It's a 64 gigabyte. But so it says remanufactured by Shurion. So I know they so whenever there's an insurance claim, they replace the phone or they refurbish it. So how do you go about refurbished phones, especially like from Shurion? I never dealt with them before.
So Asurion is actually a legitimate refurbishing company. Okay, I'm pretty sure Verizon sends all of their phones to them. So here's the cool thing about that: if you list that phone on eBay, you're actually going to get a premium for that phone because you're going to be able to list it as manufacturer refurbished. If you do just refurbish, like basically you refurbished it at home, doesn't have the kind of value, then you're going to get kind of like used value. But manufacturer refurbished phones seem to sit anywhere between used and then new other value. So you're actually going to get a little more money for that phone. So as long as you appraise it right and just basically appraise it as used, you'll probably make some pretty good money on that phone.
Yeah. So I paid about I get like 600 for it, and I seen it was going for about $7, I believe.
Okay, is the phone unlocked?
Yep, it's completely unlocked. Okay, already put other SIM cards in it and verified. Okay. And I checked 6W as well.
What I would do, honestly, if it's SIM unlocked and it's been, manufacturer refurbished and everything, I would throw that thing on Marketplace for $850, SIM unlocked, grade A, and then throw in some.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Cool.
Yeah, so I got it on OfferUp, Letgo, and Facebook Marketplace for $850 actually. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Hey Luke, I got a question for you. What's the news on RSIM?
RSIM is not good right now. I would not count on RSIM. I would not. No, I wouldn't even consider RSIM right now into pricing or even trying to unlock locked phones. I think RSIM's going to be up and down for a while. I think Apple is starting to become more aware of how this is affecting the carriers. And in reality, the carriers are the biggest outlet for Apple to be able to sell their product. And if the carriers start losing more and more and more money as this phone flipping industry gets more widely known, if the carriers are hurting, Apple's going to be hurting because the carriers are going to start getting, bothered by the fact that Apple phones constantly get stolen, they constantly get claimed, this and that, where, in my opinion, the loss ratio from iPhone to Samsung is far less, just because Samsung, there are parts out there that are available OEM. Samsungs aren't as valuable overseas as iPhones are. And I think Apple is going to make a much larger effort on their consulting side of things in the business to shut RSIM down. So that way, there's not so much incentive to try and get locked phones or finance phones and sell them overseas.
And then follow-up question on that. How do you think eSIM plays into that? Do you think that's going to hurt it even more once eSIM actually starts being used?
eSIM, in my opinion, could ruin the entire phone flipping industry. If carriers or Apple completely wipe out physical SIM cards and they just start using eSIMs, I think that it would make phones a lot easier for them to completely lock down, because Apple could then have some kind of server that would basically be completely digital, which wouldn't be able to be hacked. And if it did, it would get fixed. And so it's kind of like this. When you have a phone that has a physical SIM card tray, there comes people who currently have the invention called the RSIM. And when you have a phone that has a physical SIM card slot, you can invent something to unlock it. You can invent something that will go into the phone, plug in like a chip, almost like on a car. There's people out there tuning their cars. They're not supposed to be tuned, but people make chips and they do all kinds of things with them, okay? So when you have a physical slot in the phone, you can modify it. Now, if it went completely digital SIM, as soon as a phone misses payment, blocked, locked, blacklisted. They could take that phone with this IMEI or this serial number that's linked to this digital network, and they could potentially shut the phone down completely. They could make it so it doesn't even power on. Like if they start doing eSIM completely, I think that they will also do a lot more things with it other than just keeping a database or a database of, every iPhone SIM and where it's from. And
so you think something similar to like Intel V Pro is going to happen, where like, for example, I have a Lenovo ThinkPad that has Intel V Pro on the CPU, where if it was on a network and, you know, it was with some company and I stole it, they could remotely lock down the CPU and prevent it from booting entirely.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen if all iPhones go to eSIM. And if they do that, it's greatly going to decrease that part of the industry. There isn't going to be any more buying people's, phones. However, there is one big pro to this. You will know from now on in the future when somebody has not paid their phone bill because their phone's not going to turn on, or it's going to turn on and it may even display a message saying this phone is not paid for. And I'm hypothetically and theoretically talking about this because I guess if I was Apple, and I'm never going to be Apple, but if I was, I would do it right. That's personally what I would do. That would be the smartest thing to do, would be to tie all the phones to an eSIM, tie them to a network. And when somebody misses a bill payment for 3 months, my corporation gets a phone call from AT&T. Hey, this is the IMEI, blah, 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 blah. This person hasn't paid for it. Or, hey, the phone's just gone and they're done paying, blacklisted. Okay.
Yeah.
So I hit a couple buttons, the phone's blacklisted. And now when the phone boots up, it's just going to display a message that, hey, this phone has not been paid for. This phone is inoperable. Now, Apple will never, ever change its way. At least I assume they won't. Apple will never, ever release their parts to the public. They won't make them easily accessible. So even if phones continue to get blacklisted by this, this basically giant eSIM network, I believe that there will still be a very large market for iPhone parts.
Actually, I think it's interesting that you brought that up because I heard from a birdie in the industry that Apple may be coming up with a genuine part. They're going to call it the Apple Genuine Parts Program. As far as I know, it's only going to be to like AASP certified centers, but that could be a test run to start actually selling parts, and that's irrelevant. My next question is going to be, if
you cut out, Josh. Anybody else here, Josh? I don't know what happened to him.
Probably just cut out from signal.
Yeah. Well, if you're there, Josh, we'll come back to that question. But going back to kind of what Josh said, those are some good points and kind of some interesting things we all have got to think about for in the future, everybody. If eSIM happens, it could be really bad. They could link everything to one big network. But on the other hand, if they link everything to one network and you check the MEI and it says, hey, the phone's not been paid for or the phone's not unlocked, and then the phone is in great condition, there's no reason why it shouldn't boot up, you can assume it's either water damage or the phone has been locked and blocked by the eSIM internal network that's set up by Apple and the carriers. So not saying that necessarily this is going to happen, but I'm just saying if it was me, that's hypothetically or theoretically what I would do, because if everything was used by an eSIM, that would mitigate the potential loss or unlocking problem from all these RSIMs, because there would be no more slot to put in the phone to actually physically change how the phone is configured. Now, the only thing I could see with eSIM though is that potentially someone could make an app or something that would download to the phone and then like unlock it. But if the eSIM is tied to a network that's basically made by Apple or created by Apple that's locked down, I don't think it's going to be that easy to manipulate. Where I think RSIM, although obviously it's an incredible technology, with it having a physical slot, I think it's possible for people to keep making chips that are going to reconfigure the phone and unlock it and, make it usable even when there's a balance load and it's locked in the United States. So, but yeah, so just some food for thought, everybody, on that. Josh, not sure if he got disconnected or what. It looked like he was in his car, so not sure if he was driving or what. But unless anybody has any dire questions, we're coming up on 33 minutes here. We'll probably conclude this group chat. Jay, do you got something?
A little bit more on the RSIM, because I noticed it on Groupon, because I was looking at the XR online.
Sure.
They were like pretty much trying to advertise to me from Groupon. GSM unlocked. So does that mean that they're using RSIMs? If
a phone is GSM unlocked?
Yeah.
No, GSM unlocked usually just means it works on GSM networks such as AT&T, T-Mobile, Straight Talk. If somebody says their phone is CDMA unlocked, it means it's usable on Sprint, Verizon, and then Verizon Straight Talk. So that makes sense. CDMA and GSM are just two different types of networks out there, different bandwidths, etc.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if they're selling they're selling the phones as GSM unlocked. I was thinking maybe they use that arson thing.
For sure. Nope. No, just usually means that that phone is just, that's the type of band that it's from. You know, it's originally from a GSM carrier. So, yep.
All right.
But yeah, all right, everybody. Well, cool. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Thanks for the questions. Hope everybody has an awesome rest of your weekend or what's left of it. And I hope you have an awesome week. There'll be daily YouTube videos every day, as always, after this group chat video tonight. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. You know, keeps people updated. Drop those comments. They'll get them answered. Video requests, we do those too. Make sure you send a message if you want a video request or have a question that you want addressed in a video. So that being said, thanks for everybody for coming out, and I will see you guys next Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time to 7:30, and we will do another group chat. So see you guys later.